Hello, and welcome to the Hardison and Cochran podcast. In today's episode, North Carolina Workers' Compensation Board-Certified Specialist Attorney Ben Cochran discusses home modifications that may be needed for individuals who were injured at work in North Carolina. Now, here's Ben Cochran.
Often injured employees are injured to such a significant degree that they require assisted devices as well as modifications to their home. Most commonly we see is if individual is for some reason in a wheelchair or having to use a walker for an extended period of time, the most common form of modification begins with a ramp to the house. The reason that is that in order for someone to get in and out of their house, they obviously have to be able to do it. Most ramps that are utilized in workers' compensation are rented. And so what will happen is the insurance company will rent them for a specific period of time, and they would provide that to the injured employee until such time as they no longer need it. When we are looking at much more long-term, when it becomes a situation that, unfortunately, let's say that the injured employee is paralyzed and their housing accommodations are no longer feasible because of the circumstances that they're now left in. At that point, it may be a situation where much more aggressive action needs to be taken. Oftentimes, you must get a life care plan that's put together, that a professional vendor will come in and assess the living conditions that are being had by the injured employee. They will then get with potentially a nurse case manager or even the treating physician to determine what is the best way to move forward in order to have a good working housing home environment to benefit the injured employee. It becomes a very complicated, complex scenario, and there are many issues that are involved in home modifications. A lot of times insurance companies don't want to go directly at that. They like to try and avoid that because it's a considerable cost and expense for the injured employee. So if it is a situation where you've been recommended for housing modifications, different things that need to be done, then certainly you will more likely than not need to contact somebody. And then the next question is what if I don't own the house? Can I get housing modifications to a house that I'm renting? Well, you can, and that's going to be determined whether or not the owner of the house allows for the modifications. And then if they don't, which we sometimes do see, then it becomes a circumstance that we have to work on getting the injured employee moved to another location at the expense of the carrier, within rent established with modifications into a place that they can live and freely move about the community. And often, once I said before, it is complex. There are a lot of issues to be handled in that scenario. And so I definitely encourage you, if you are dealing with an issue such as that, reach out to an attorney and get someone who knows what they're doing to deal with these issues. It is complicated. It may require litigation in the end, but more likely than not, if your treating physician believes that based upon your physical condition as a result of the injury, that you need assistive devices and help with your living, definitely give somebody a call.
We'd like to thank you for listening to the Hardison and Cochran Attorneys at Law podcast. If you would like a free consultation about you or a loved one's legal situation, please go to lawyernc.com. For a full list of episodes, please visit lawyernc.com/podcast.
Listening to this podcast does not create an attorney-client relationship between you and Hardison and Cochran. Hardison and Cochran does not accept new clients until obtaining a signed agreement. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be intended or taken as legal advice. If you have a legal matter, contact a licensed attorney in your state about your specific set of circumstances.